Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 9th of December 2023. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover the most important articles from the newspaper, and along with this, we are going to cover a mapping topic. We are covering one mapping topic every day, which is going to help you to solve map related questions in the prelims exam. So with this, let us quickly see the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's newspaper analysis. So these are the list of articles that we will be covering in today's analysis. So let us quickly see the first topic, which is a mapping topic, alright. So this topic says major rivers in India. So now we are going to locate the major rivers in India. We are going to locate the rivers that are located in India, right. So here in this map, we can see the name of the rivers, right? We can see name of the rivers. So as of now, we will understand where are these rivers located. We will not go through the details about their course of flow, or let's say which rivers are tributaries of a major river or distributaries of a major river. We are going to discuss all of it, let's say in a shorter while. So for this, let us understand one concept, right? When we talk about rivers, right? When we talk about rivers. So rivers have generally few features. What are the features? Number one is the point of origin, okay. So like where the river origins, right, from where the river origins, that becomes important. Generally the rivers origin from the peaks of mountains, right, from the let's say hilly areas. Why? Because there the clouds or other thing they condense, and after condensing they form, let's say water droplets, and then they slowly recede, right, they slowly recede, and this let's say lead to the formation of rivers. So like it is important whenever you are reading, right, whenever you are learning the river mapping, you need to understand where the rivers are originating from. Second point is where the river is finally draining, okay, or like through which state it is draining. So you need to understand about drainage pattern, okay. You need to understand about drainage pattern of a river, means through which states, like in which direction it is draining. So a river may be going in this direction, let's say it may be going in this direction, so this will be the drainage pattern. Other river may be flowing, let's say a straight path maybe, right. So this is the thing. So you need to understand the drainage pattern. So drainage pattern will give you the information from where it is originating and which course it is flowing, like following, and where it is finally draining its water, where it is going, okay. So generally after this, the third point that you need to understand related to rivers is a concept which is known as tributaries, okay, or tributaries. So what are tributaries? So tributaries are, let's say to understand tributaries, let's consider this is the river, this is the major river. Which river? It is the major river. And to this major river, let's say there are some small rivers, right? There can be other small rivers, right, that are originating somewhere else than the major river, but the thing is their water is, let's say, getting connected with the major river. It is, let's say, adding its water to the major river at some point of some point like that. So these rivers, right, they are known as tributaries, right, they are known as tributaries. So these rivers will be called as tributaries, that's the thing, alright. So major river which is, let's say, flowing through a long distance, carrying more water. The minor rivers or tributaries are those rivers that contribute water to the major river. Apart from this, we have another concept related to it. This is known as distributaries. What? Distributaries, okay. So when we talk about distributaries of river, so here we need to understand this concept that related to distributaries. So this was related to tributaries, okay. Related to distributaries, let's say this is the major river. From the major river are originating some rivers that are flowing somewhere else, alright. So this river is getting its water from the major river itself, means like from major river some channels are divided dividing, and they are flowing somewhere else, they are adding their water somewhere else. So these rivers will be known as distributaries, okay, they will be known as distributaries. And the final and most important point related to rivers is that where these rivers are finally flowing, or where the river is finally draining, okay, where it is draining. So final draining points of river, okay, final draining points of rivers, that's also important. For example, if we talk about major rivers, if we talk about river Ganga, right, it is originating somewhere in north, but like finally it is draining its water in, right, Bay of Bengal region, right. So in Bay of Bengal region, so it is finally draining, means like that river water is getting added to the sea, it is getting added to the ocean finally, okay, this is the thing. Okay, so rivers generally originate from natural places, then it flow to a long distance, finally merging or let's say adding their water somewhere maybe in the ocean, okay. So long rivers, big rivers do that way, alright. So today we want to understand about mapping of rivers in India. We need to understand from where these rivers are originating, where these rivers are going and all. So quickly we will understand the name of the rivers. So one of the river system, this is known as Indus river system. What? Indus river system. So Indus river system originates somewhere, right, near to let's say China, it originates somewhere near China. It's let's say one of the longest river system, it just originates over here, it flows through India to Pakistan as well, okay, it flows through India to Pakistan as well. Then we have Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, like that. So these rivers are known as west flowing rivers, okay, they are known as west flowing rivers. Why west flowing rivers? Because these rivers are originating towards the eastern side, but like they are finally going to the western side, and these rivers like Jhelum, Chenab, like Satluj, like that, so they add their waters to Indus river. Indus river is the longest river over here, okay. So these rivers somewhere act as tributaries of the Indus river. Apart from this, if we talk about the Ganga river system, okay, Ganga river system or Yamuna river system. So we can see over here, this is the course of Ganga river. So it is coming from over here, right, it is coming from this portion, and it is flowing a long path. Finally it is draining its water through Bangladesh to Bay of Bengal, okay, to Bay of Bengal. This is the thing. This is Ganga river system. Ganga river system is considered to be the longest river system inside India, right. If we talk about Indus river system, it is also very long, but major portion of it does not lie in India, right. Major portion of it, let's say, flows through Pakistan. If we talk about the Brahmaputra river system, right, the Brahmaputra river system, it originates somewhere here, from here it flows the path like this, and it finally comes to India. This is a very long river, right, even longer than let's say we can consider to be Ganga, but the thing is like major portion of it is in China. So in India we get the water in the Brahmaputra, let's say like in the state of, it flows through the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and some other states in India itself, right. So although it is a major part of major river, but some portion of it is lying in India, all right. This is the thing. Then we have Yamuna river, like that, this is Yamuna river, and there are many tributaries of Ganga river. They are Gomti, like Gomti, Kosi, right. Kosi is considered to be sorrow of Nepal, because this river causes kind of floods in Nepal, right, it causes floods in Nepal, that's the thing. Apart from this, if we talk about other river system in India, we have let's say many other rivers. For example, Son is also a river that let's say adds water to Ganga. Then we have Mahanadi flows over here, right. Then we have Godavari flows let's say through the South India. Then we have Krishna river, Pennar river, Kaveri river, Periyar river, like that, okay. So north to south you need to remember how they are located, how they are connected, but each river in itself is very big in the sense that it has many tributaries, they flow through different states. For that, like, we may be doing further mapping discussion where we are going to take individual rivers for discussion, and then we are going to discuss those rivers in detail. As of now, today I wanted to have a overview session related to river systems in India. Similarly, let's say if you go through this map, right, in this map you will get an additional insight. What is that additional insight? That you will not only get to understand the, let's say, course of river, but you are going to understand about through which state these rivers are flowing, because the name of the states are also mentioned along with their boundaries. Okay, so if we talk about Ganges or Ganga river system, if I talk about Kosi, right, so as I said, Kosi is considered to be the sorrow of Bihar or sorrow of Nepal, because it causes flood, right, here it causes floods in Bihar, that's the thing. Brahmaputra river you can see here, right. So these two maps will give you an overview, little bit understanding about the river systems in India. In future I am going to take discussion of individual rivers. There we are going to discuss about through which states these rivers are flowing. We are going to discuss in detail about the point of origin of these rivers, right. We are going to discuss about name of tributaries and distributaries of these rivers, right. So with this, let us now quickly move to the first topic of the day. This topic is related to Indian economy. It was there in page number 1, so I have thought of covering this thing first. So this is important for GS paper 3 of the mains exam. However, this topic is more important for the prelims exam. We need to understand through this topic about monetary policy committee. Okay, so basically the Reserve Bank of India, let's say its monetary policy committee, what it does, it comes up with bi-monthly monetary policy review document. Means every 2 months the Reserve Bank of India comes up with some kind of review of the data related to monetary policy. So what is the role of the monetary policy? Basically through monetary policy the Reserve Bank of India tries to control the inflation in the market. Why inflation is important? Because inflation is a parameter that is associated with growth. It is also associated with overall stability in an economy, right? If inflation is there in a certain bracket which is desirable, then the country's economy is considered to be growing in the right path or going in the right path. If inflation is, let's say, more than expected, then it is a negative, let's say, situation. So the Reserve Bank of India or central bank of a country, right, comes up with some kind of monetary policy, let's say, like decisions, and these monetary policy decisions are going to help, right, the economy to stabilize, right. So we are going to discuss about this, right. So we are going to quickly discuss about this. Name of the topic is topic number 1. So this topic basically says RBI keeps repo rate at 6.5%, raises GDP growth forecast. Okay, so RBI means Reserve Bank of India, right? It keeps repo rate and all. So you, let's say, understand the topic from the headline itself. So basically here what we need to understand, that Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of the country, right? It is the central bank of the country, right? Central bank of the country, Central bank of the country means this is the regulator of banks in India. It is known as Reserve Bank of India in India. In different countries, their central banks are known by different names. If I talk about United States of America, in USA they have US Federal Reserve, okay, US Federal Reserve. In India it is Reserve Bank of India basically. So this is the central bank of the country, and this central bank of the country is responsible for, let's say, regulating the banking sector in the country, whether it is private sector bank, public sector bank, foreign banks, or scheduled commercial banks, or non-banking financial company. So all of them are regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. And apart from this, the Reserve Bank of India has something which is known as Monetary Policy Committee, MPC. This Monetary Policy Committee takes decisions related to monetary policy in the country. Why? So that, like, they can to control inflation in the country. Number 1, to control inflation in the country. Number 2, What it does, basically it, let's say, makes the country economy to stabilize the economy, right, to stabilize the economy, right. These are like there are many functions of the Monetary Policy Committee. In India, it comes up with bi-monthly, right, bi-monthly review data, bi-monthly monetary policy review data. So this Monetary Policy Committee in India does have various tools with it. One of the tool is known as repo rate. What it is known as? It is known as repo rate. What is repo rate? Repo rate is the rate at which the Reserve Bank of India or the central bank of a country lends money. What it does? It lends money, right, to banks in the country. To banks means they can be private sector banks, they can be public sector banks, they can be non-banking financial company. Whenever banks need loan, they approach the Reserve Bank of India, and the Reserve Bank of India lends money, gives loan to the banks at some interest rate, okay, at some interest rate, and this interest rate is known as repo rate. At this point of time, the Reserve Bank of India has kept the interest rate at which it is going to lend money to the banks at 6.5%. And they have not changed this data. Earlier also the repo rate was 6.5% itself, okay. Why they have not changed it? Because the RBI governor feels that, like, you know, there are many external situations like Russia-Ukraine war, right, and Israel-Palestine war, and other macroeconomic factors that can, let's say, like, you know, cause any kind of problem in the economy. So for the time being, since the economy is going fine, we are happy with the ongoing or existing repo rate, right. Apart from this, there is another rate which is known as reverse repo rate, right. It is known as reverse repo rate. What is reverse repo rate? In case of reverse repo rate, what happens? All right, it seems that the electricity went away, but like came, right. Reverse repo rate, the Reserve Bank of India borrows money from the central banks. Why it borrows money? So that, like, you know, it can control the flow of money in the economy. So to take away money from the economy, it let's say, like, you know, borrows money from the banks. So banks are left with lesser money, and, like, you know, somehow they control the inflation in the country. Reverse repo rate, this rate is generally 1% lower than the repo rate. Repo rate is 6.5%, reverse repo rate will be 5.5%. Generally it is 1% lower. Apart from this, they have, let's say, cash reserve ratio. What? Cash reserve ratio. What is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is the amount of money that the banks have to keep with the Reserve Bank of India. All the money that the banks are receiving from their customers in terms of demand and time liability, means, like, you know, in the form of deposits, whether it is in current account or in savings account, out of all the money that the banks receive, all banks reserve, like, you know, the SBI, ICICI, HDFC, all the banks, private and they are generally known as scheduled commercial banks. Out of all the money that they receive, 4% of that money have to be kept with the Reserve Bank of India, as it is known as cash reserve ratio. On cash reserve ratio, these banks do not receive any interest rates, right. This is known as cash reserve ratio. Apart from this, there are many factors, there are many quantitative tools as part of monetary policy control, okay. So the Monetary Policy Committee can take decision related to these quantitative tools, they can take decision related to various qualitative tools as well, okay. So this is what we need to understand. So with this, what we will do is, we will now quickly move to another article, all right. We will quickly move to another article, just. So here I hope you have understood this particular thing. We are going to discuss another article related to this at the end, right. In page number 14, another article was there. So this is the thing. So with this, we have another topic. This topic is equally important. What this topic is all about, it says India's alarming fixed dose combination problem. Now to understand this particular topic, right, to understand this particular topic, you need to understand what do we mean by fixed dose combination, right. So I am just writing here fixed dose combination. So what are fixed dose combination? Generally what happens, for example, if you have fever, right, you know what is the medicine that you need to take, paracetamol, right, for fever. But the thing is, like, along with fever, if you have cold, only paracetamol is not going to be beneficial for you. In that case, you need to take some kind of fixed dose, some kind of medication that is effective against fever, that is effective against cold as well. So you may need to take more than one tablet. This is the thing. Other than taking more than one tablet, you can go for an alternative tablet. Okay, you can go for an alternative tablet in which the formulations inside it will have paracetamol along with some medicine that is effective against this, I mean cold. Or let's say you have fever, you have cold, you have body pain as well. So in that case, you need analgesics as well, right? So instead of having 3 different kind of medicines, let's say like, you know, maybe the paracetamol, then analgesic related to pain or related to cold, right? Instead of taking 3 different kind of tablets, what you do, you can take a single tablet, right? And which a single tablet, right, which can have all the 3 combinations, means like, you know, related to fever, so that it can help you related to fever, it can help you related to pain, it can help you related to cold, right? This is the thing. So basically what are fixed dose combinations? Fixed dose combinations are those tablets or capsules, right? These are those medicines, right? These are those medicines that are manufactured by the pharmaceutical companies where they have more than one ingredients. Why they do it so? Because so that a person who is taking these medicines, this person does not have to take multiple tablets at the same time, because like, you know, that will lead to overdose and all. So there are positives also associated with fixed dose combinations. However, in this article what the authors are saying, that like in India we have, let's say like, you know, certain organizations. One of the organization has a tool which is known as Drug Price Control Order. What? It is known as Drug Price Control Order, right? Drug Price Control Order. So according to Drug Price Control Order, the pricing of different kind of drugs, for example paracetamol, I am just giving it as a example, okay? For example paracetamol or any other drug, its price is capped. Its price is what? Capped, C-A-P-P-E-D, capped means like, you know, there is a fixed ceiling beyond which its price will not go, because according to the Drug Price Control Order, right? So the government of India does have certain machinery under which what it does, let's say it controls the price of, right? It controls the price of medicines in the market. So these pharmaceutical companies that are manufacturing these drugs, they know what will be the capping, right, on certain individual drugs. So instead of selling those drugs individually, what they do, they come up with fixed dose combinations. They come up with fixed dose combination. They, let's say, combine drugs of different things. They name it, let's say they brand it in a different name, and then they sell it at higher price. What they do, they sell it at higher price, right? This is the thing. And recently what has happened, some articles have been published, and these articles have been, let's say like, you know, from academics. They belong to India, Qatar, United Kingdom. They published in a journal of pharmaceutical policy and practice, and according to that particular publication, it has been mentioned that in India there are huge number of drugs, I mean like, you know, more than 60.5% of fixed dose combinations that are being sold in India, they are already banned by the government of India. So the banned combinations are being sold in India. Not only the banned combinations, but like, you know, the fixed dose combinations that these, let's say like, you know, these drug manufacturers or pharmaceutical companies are selling, right? They do not have a scientific rationale of combining these drugs, Why they do not have scientific rationale? Here the author has given many examples. For example, anti-inflammatory drugs were combined with vitamins, or antihistamines were combined with antidiarrheal agents. Penicillin was combined with sulfonamides, and vitamins were combined with analgesics. Means like, their combination does not form any scientific basis that why you are combining two entirely different drugs, for example, like, that do not have any relation with one another. So many pharmaceutical companies have made such combinations which scientifically are not, let's say, valid. I mean, like, they do not have any rationale for increasing efficacy related to, let's say, treatment of a disease, or like, there is no scientific rationale. So related to fixed dose combination, what are the problems in India? Number one is unauthorized selling is happening in the market, right? Number one, unauthorized selling is happening. Number two, right, the fixed dose combinations that are being made by many pharmaceutical companies, these fixed dose combination lack scientific rationale, okay? Many of them lack scientific rationale, okay? They lack scientific rationale. This is the thing. Apart from this, already banned fixed dose combinations that are banned by the government, they are being sold in the market. They are being sold recklessly in the market. So here the author says that, like, India's alarming fixed dose combination problem. Author says that, like, fixed dose combination that we are selling, that are being sold in Indian markets, are going to cause problems. Because of these fixed dose combination, people generate antimicrobial resistance, okay? They generate antimicrobial resistance, and because of which, let's say, like, many types of drugs fail to be effective, like, in some patients. So finally the author says that many of these unapproved or banned FDCs contain antibiotics is cause for concern given the growing antibacterial microbial resistance in the country, right? So this is the thing. So you need to read this article to understand little more on this topic. So with this we will quickly move to another article, right? So we will understand another article. Then we have another article, it says bridge this deficit between India and Sri Lanka, okay? So we will quickly understand this topic. This is topic number 3. Bridge this deficit between India and Sri Lanka. Now let us understand this topic in detail. Basically, when we talk about India, right, when we talk about India, I am just drawing a rough map for our purpose. Right. So this is where Sri Lanka is located. Sri Lanka is a neighboring country of India. This is our India, right? Sri Lanka is a neighboring country of India. India shares very good relation with Sri Lanka. This is one part. So recently what has happened, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, okay, Ranil Wickremesinghe, right? What he has done, he has basically proposed some ideas of connecting India with Sri Lanka through road links, okay, through road links. Means some places in India, already we have Ram Setu over there, so Pamban Bridge, I mean, like, in this article they have discussed that India and Sri Lanka have decided earlier, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka has mooted the idea that he wants to connect Sri Lanka with India through road network. Road network in the sense we are going to create bridge, right? We are going to create bridge so that, like, road connectivity happens. And this road connectivity is a kind of infrastructure project. What it is this? It is an infrastructure project. And because of this infrastructure project, more people to people contact will happen, The economy of Sri Lanka is going to grow more. Why the economy of Sri Lanka is going to grow more? Because Sri Lanka is an island nation. Most of the revenue that it generates, it is from the tourism activities. And from India, around 17 point some percent, I think 17.7% of tourists from India go to Sri Lanka. I mean, like, you know, so this is the thing. So Sri Lanka receives huge revenue from India. And recently the Prime Minister of India has also mooted the idea of, let's say, connecting with Sri Lanka through bridges. In this article, they have mentioned earlier Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is the, let's say, like, you know, road minister or road and highways minister, India's road transport and highways minister. So he had also informed the Lok Sabha of a kind of development plan, right, to connect India with Sri Lanka through some bridges. But the thing is, like, although that idea has been mooted many a times, but it has not materialized. Why it has not materialized? Because whenever some persons come up with some kind of opposition related to this bridge project, the let's say work or progress related to this gets hampered. So in this article, the author has said that India and Sri Lanka need to come closer with one another in terms of infrastructure projects. We can build bridges, we can build, let's say, ports in Sri Lanka, and so that, like, you know, these two countries can come closer with one another in terms of economic ties. So finally, the author says that the relationship between India and Sri Lanka in the areas of infrastructure development, energy links and trade should be much deeper than what it is now. So through this article, author gives a call that these two countries need to come together, right? They need to come together so that the infrastructure development happens in both the countries. Both the countries will get benefited with, let's say, like, you know, such cooperation in these projects. Then we have a very short article over here. This article is related to politics, but the thing is, through this article we are going to understand about north-south divide. So basically this article says invidious divide. India can do without politicizing, without politicians exacerbating the north-south polarization. So when we talk about the northern India, in northern India, most of the places, right, most of the states have higher population as compared to the southern India. And in southern India, people have more per capita income. Their health status is better and they have performed well on, let's say, like, you know, the parameters that are related to population. And if you talk about northern India, many states in northern India, including UP, Bihar, they did not perform well related to, let's say, population and educational measures. But through this article, author says that instead of polarizing the north and south India because of the differences between them, the politicians should, let's say, take a call to bridge the differences between them so that, like, you know, we should not exacerbate the north-south polarization. We should not, let's say, increase the polarization. Because India is one country, all the, let's say, citizens of India have similar rights, right, under the Constitution of India. Everyone should be treated equally and all states must be treated equally. And for that, we should stop polarizing the north-south divide, okay. North-south means within India. This is the thing. Very short article. So with this, we have another article. It says an icy warning. This is a very, very good article. Why? Because recently the World Meteorological Organization, there is an organization, it is known as World Meteorological Organization. It has released a report and it is known as the Global Climate 2011 to 2020. So this global report of 2011 to 2020 talks about the retreat of the ice from the glaciers. So according to this report, ice has been melting at a rate of 1 meter per year in the last 10 years. So in the last 10 years, the ice sheets have receded. And because of receding of ice sheets, it has led to many kind of climate vulnerabilities. And through this article, the author wants to say that, like, you know, the disasters that are caused by glaciers should be given as importance as we are giving to the, let's say, disasters that are caused by tsunami, that are caused by, let's say, earthquake and all. So the disasters that are caused by retreating of glaciers are not given that importance. They are not taken as seriously as the disasters because of cyclone or other kind of disaster. So basically, we have seen the impact of retreating glaciers in India also. In India, in the state of Sikkim, recently what has happened, one of the lake which is known as Lonak Lake, okay. So it has seen glacial lake outburst flood, okay. This lake has seen glacier lake outburst flood, and because of this glacial lake outburst flood, what has happened? Many people were killed, lot of infrastructure got damaged. So it is the right time that we should consider the retreating glacier as a threat, as a hazard to the let's say to the environment, okay. So retreating glacier should be given as importance, right, as much importance as it is being given to, let's say, other kind of hazards, natural hazards, be it tsunami, be it cyclone, or be it let's say earthquakes and all. So this is the thing. Read this article. Through this article you will come across one of the report that I talked about, report of the World Meteorological Organization, and also you will come across, let's say, like, some other news related to recent happenings of glacial lake outburst. Then we have another article. It says US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, approves pair of gene therapies for sickle cell disease, okay. So we need to understand what is sickle cell disease. So you might have heard about sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia is related to red blood cells. In our body we have white blood cells, we have red blood cells, and we have cells of different types. But when we talk about blood cells, red blood cells carry oxygen in our body, right? They carry hemoglobin in the body. So red blood cells are generally, let's say, spherical in shape in general. But because of a disease, the shape of the cell, let's say, like, becomes sickle type, means like, this shape becomes like this. So it becomes sickle type shape. And because its shape changes, right, its oxygen carrying capacity reduces. So this sickle cell anemia, it's a, let's say, genetic disease. It can be transferred from one generation to another generation. Recently what has happened, the United Nations Food and Drug Administration, it has approved 2 therapies that's going to treat the sickle cell anemia, that's going to treat the sickle cell disease. What are those 2 methods? One of the method is known as, the first method is known as life, right? It is known as life genia. So this life genia has been introduced by Bluebird Bio. Bluebird Bio is a kind of company, okay? Bluebird Bio, they have introduced this therapy, life genia. What is the other therapy? It is known as Casgevy, okay? It is known as Casgevy. This is the other therapy, okay? Casgevy. And it is Casgevy has been introduced by 2 companies together. One of the companies Vertex Pharmaceuticals and the other is CRISPR Therapeutics. So these are the 2 companies that have, let's say, introduced these 2 therapies. And these 2 therapies related to sickle cell disease have been approved by the US Food and Drug Administration. However, these 2 diseases are not going to remove the sickle cell anemia, let's say, like, one and all, means like it's not going to be a one-time cure. The one-time cure that exists related to sickle cell anemia is bone marrow transplant, okay? It is known as bone marrow transplant. So bone marrow transplant is a kind of method for the treatment of sickle cell anemia. But these are 2 alternative gene therapies. One is known as life genia, second is known as Casgevy, okay? So this is just a news item, but this is an important article related to science and technology. Then we have another article. It says Erdogan links Sweden's NATO bid to sale of F-16 fighter jets by USA. So when we talk about NATO, NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This North Atlantic Treaty Organization has 31 members as of now. North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a security grouping. It's a regional grouping of various countries in America and Europe. So many countries have joined this thing. This treaty was, let's say, like, established. North Atlantic Treaty Organization has been established through a treaty which is known as Washington Treaty, right? Washington Treaty. And this North Atlantic Treaty Organization is considered to be very strong security organization, because Under this Washington Treaty, they have Article 5. This Article 5 talks about collective security. Means an attack or threat of attack on any one of the members of North Atlantic Treaty Organization will be considered an attack or threat of attack on all the member organization, and they will collectively retaliate against the common, let's say, enemy. So this is the thing. So recently, two countries have shown its willingness to join North Atlantic Treaty Organization. One of the countries is Sweden and the other country is Finland. Okay, other country is Finland. So I think one of the country is already in the process of joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. However, like Turkey's president has stalled the ratification of Sweden's in NATO, because all the existing member countries have to give their permission, have to ratify the accession of a new member in there. Okay, so he has linked somehow that these countries are being joined by USA because USA has a kind of like sale target of selling F-16 fighter jets, right, to those countries who want to join the NATO, like that. So this is another article. We are going to be quick to cover this article. It says RBI enhances UPI payment limits to set rules for online loan aggregators. So as we discussed, Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of the country. It sets rules, regulations related to financial sector in the country. So what it has done, it has increased the UPI payment limits. UPI payment limits has been increased for multiple categories. For example, if a person wants to make payment to an educational institute or to a hospital or healthcare infrastructure. Earlier the limit was 1 lakh rupees, but now it has been increased to 5 lakh rupees, okay, for healthcare and educational sector. And also RBI has increased, let's say, like, e-repayment, means if you have taken soft loan from any fintech company, you need to pay recurring payments to them, means like you need to pay your installments regularly. So those installments have been increased from 15,000 a month to 1 lakh rupees, means like, per e-payment, recurring payment mandates and all. So this is just a news topic on this regard. You need to read it further to understand this. Then this is going to be the last article for the day. This article is related to the first article that we read. The first article was related to the Monetary Policy Committee decisions of the Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India had taken decision related to monetary policy, and it has kept the repo rate same as before. So earlier the repo rate was 6.5%, and now also the repo rate is 6.5%. I discussed about the, let's say, quantitative tools in the beginning itself. So here RBI has said that no central bank can currently give forward guidance. Forward guidance means as of now the Reserve Bank of India is not giving any kind of guidance to the banks that you follow this pattern or you follow that pattern. Why? It is because of many macroeconomic vulnerabilities, many macroeconomic insecurities that exist. For example, Russia-Ukraine war is already going on. Then we have Israel-Hamas war that is going on. And tomorrow any new activity can erupt, which can be considered as black swan activity, and because of which the entire economic infrastructure may get damaged. So this is the time of very high uncertainty, right? So that's why the RBI governor has said that, like, no central bank in the world can give any forward guidance to the banks in their country. And it is rightly said so, because recently the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has released a book. Its name is The India Way. In that book, he talks about, let's say, like, single trend and 4 different shocks, right? So if you read that book, you will understand the context related to this, okay? So other parameters I have discussed in the first article itself. So that will be all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.